Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show. And I'm Michael Tran. And today we are not talking about the 2026 midterm election, but the 2025 November election. 2025 is an off-year election, but we still have elections. We have election in New Jersey, in Virginia, and then we're gonna have a special election in California on a referendum. But today we're talking about the Commonwealth, where the Democrats are trying to replace the Republican leadership there. And if Virginia is going blue, we can say that Virginia will be the next California, the California of the East Coast. So that's why we're going to defend it. And today we will be talking with a candidate who is running for lieutenant governor from the Republican Party in Virginia. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. John Reid, Republican candidate for lieutenant governor of Virginia. Mr. Reid, thank you so much for your time with us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be able to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Reid, could you make a brief introduction about you and the reason you run for lieutenant governor?
Well, I'm happy to do that. It's been quite a journey, I will tell you. I'm 54 years old. I was born and raised here in the capital city in Richmond. I attended public schools, kindergarten through 8th grade, and then graduated from St. Christopher's School here in Richmond. My dad was running for office to represent my county, Henrico County, in the House of Delegates. So you don't want to be a preacher's kid or a politician's kid. So I left and went to Baylor University in Waco, Texas, where I got a degree in political science. And then I worked in the United States House of Representatives for Congressman Tom Bliley, the congressman from this area who'd been the mayor of Richmond. Later, I was offered an opportunity to go work for former President Ronald Reagan, and I was his last press assistant and intern out in Los Angeles, California. And it was a wonderful experience working for the President and Mrs. Reagan and traveling around California and around the world with them. It really was just a remarkable time, and he was still giving speeches and meeting lots of people. But at the end of 1993, the Alzheimer's had started to really impact him. So he retired from public life, and I left and went into television. And I worked at the CBS TV station in Waco, Texas during the Branch Davidian fallout, the year after the horrible, devastating fire that killed so many people and all the issues surrounding that. And then for the next 10 years, I was the investigative reporter and television anchor at the ABC station here in Richmond, WRIC. At about the 10-year point, I got kind of tired of reading the teleprompter, so I went to go work for U.S. Senator George Allen, the former governor of Virginia, as his communications director in Washington. Later went to the United States Chamber of Commerce, the largest business federation in the world, where I was head of editorial communications, and then traveled around the world as the director of international development for a big government relations and public relations firm. I've been to 113 countries around the world on all 7 continents. I've done business in a lot of different, very unique places, including being based in the Middle East. And it's just been a really remarkable career. And the last 8 years, and of course this is what all the Democrats like to talk about, I've hosted a talk show on one of the biggest radio stations in Virginia. It was really a wonderful show that was pretty successful. And then I had to decide whether it was time for me to offer myself up as one of the potential leaders of the state. So I decided to run for lieutenant governor.
Wow, thank you, sir. You have a rich experience in politics, and a lot of people, they don't just don't know it, especially in my community, because we're the Vietnamese, we just listen to the Vietnamese podcaster. But thank you for sharing your background. And it is not easy. I can say it's difficult for you to quit your job to run for lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's been tough. My mortgage was due yesterday.
Wow.
And every time I check my bank account, the number goes down. All my savings are dropping. So I really have a lot invested in running for lieutenant governor. But I'm one of the reasons I wanted to do this is I think so many things are happening that are not good for Virginia and for America. We're culturally confused. We're, putting boys and girls sports. I just think that's wrong. I think we should protect female spaces and privacy, protect the Title IX protections that so many women worked so hard for. The taxes continue to rise. I think that is wrong. And I think the government is getting further and further away from the average citizen. And you need to have people at the state capitol and in Washington who are reasonable and responsible and who will try to make fair decisions. Virginia's a pretty diverse place with a lot of people who have different opinions. They don't have to agree with me, but I think we need to make decisions that are fair to everyone and keep sound economic and cultural principles so we can all be prosperous.
Yeah, thank you. And as I show on my screen here that this is the Democrat ticket, and your opponent for Lieutenant Governor is Senator Ghazala Hasmi, and I haven't seen you debating her, but I think she's just keep running away from it. So can you tell us a little bit about her and why we should vote for you instead of her?
Well, I like to be a polite person, so I don't want to be too mean about it. But, Senator Hashmi really has pushed some of the worst legislation in the history of Virginia. She's one of the people responsible for trying to get rid of police forces across the state, defunding the police. She was one of the people leading the effort to keep the schools closed for an extra year. Do you know we were one of the last states in America to reopen our public schools? That's a big mistake, and she was one of the reasons. She wanted to keep the mask mandate. She has been responsible for advocating changing the word mother to birthing person.
Wow.
That is crazy. And
Wow.
I don't think, even if you're not a conservative Republican, it's okay. But I think that crosses the line. And I'm very concerned about that. And even though Senator Hashmi is herself a minority, when the atrocities happened in Israel and the Jewish students in Virginia began to feel very unsafe because they were being bothered on campuses, she did not protect the Jewish students. In fact, she advocated for and marched with the pro-Palestinian Hamas crowd on one of our college campuses. Now, I don't find that to be acceptable. I have many groups that I agree with and some groups that I disagree with. But one thing I will say is that every student in Virginia deserves to feel safe and protected and be treated with respect on our college campuses. And we should not have protests that interrupt other people and disrupt their lives simply because somebody feels passionate about a certain issue. And I think Senator Hashmi, with all due respect, has made a lot of bad mistakes. She does not apologize. She keeps pushing the very leftist agenda. And the guy in New York,
Yes.
Mamdani,
Yes.
who is a socialist, so many people have said she is just like him except in a skirt. And I don't want that in Virginia. I don't want that mindset in Virginia.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And the thing is, she doesn't have any explanation on it. And then you also sent her many challenges for debate, but she just keeps on running away from it. Yeah.
She won't do it.
Wow.
When the campaign first started, I said, let's do 10 debates. That's a lot, but that would be 2 in each region of the state because the differences are significant in Northern Virginia versus Virginia Beach. Certainly that's different from where I live in Richmond, and a big difference to Southwest Virginia, where they're trying to grow the economy and get people back in jobs, and she has refused to do any debates. You know how bad it's gotten? I even agreed to do a debate on NPR in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Talk about rigging it in her favor, and she still won't do it. So I'm frustrated by that, and I think Virginia voters expect to see both candidates stand up at a podium respectfully and debate the issues so that they can decide who will best represent them. And it's very frustrating she won't do that.
Yes, and especially when you see the recent scandals in public schools in Fairfax County and Loudoun County. We don't see Democrats anywhere. And then, but the thing is, they keep doubling down on it, and they host protests to praise those ideas. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just unacceptable. And
It's a real problem, and the story in Fairfax. I was just in Fairfax
yeah,
last week, and not only are they continuing to advocate for boys and girls bathrooms, but a story that happened this summer that a lot of people didn't hear about was there were two young girls, underage students, who confided in one of the administrators or teachers at their school that they were pregnant. Do you know they took those girls to get abortions and tried to keep it secret from the parents? And there's even an allegation, and I want to be a fair person, let's see whether this is proven, that they used school money to pay for the abortions. The girls have said that they were bullied into even going to the abortion clinic. I think we've got a problem with the attitude of the leaders, and I want to try to change that.
yeah. Thank you a lot for raising these concerns and the bad things happening right now. But as the lieutenant governor, what can you do in your power to stop that and to embrace the Republican agenda that have been good for the state in the last 4 years?
Yeah. Well, one great thing is you have Winsome Sears running for governor. She's the current lieutenant governor. And you have Jason Miara seeking re-election as attorney general. I think that would be smart to return them so you have the elements of the stable and I think good governmental decisions that Glenn Youngkin has led over the last 4 years. And I hope as lieutenant governor to be someone who's actively involved in setting the agenda for the Republicans in the state Senate, trying to find common ground with Democrats in the state Senate. And one thing you'll never change about me, I'm always going to tell you what I think. And hopefully, if there's something that's happening in the state of Virginia that's wrong, that I'll be able to turn up the heat, get it fixed, find common ground with people, and make sure that Virginia is a place that everybody feels safe and that we all have an opportunity to be prosperous going forward.
Yeah, thank you a lot, because like many people, they don't know what a lieutenant governor does, but thanks to your explanation, we know that the lieutenant governor has some kind of power in the Senate to control the agenda and the legislation process.
You can break tie votes.
Yes.
That is clear. Some lieutenant governors, and I've talked to several of the people who've had this job, have been much more reserved than I intend to be. I intend to be actively involved in what's happening in the Senate. I certainly intend to be actively involved talking to the voters of Virginia, discussing these issues, trying to understand where people are. I think different people approach the job in different ways, but there was no reason for me to give up such a popular radio program if I wasn't going to be a very involved lieutenant governor. That's what I want to do on behalf of the people of Virginia.
Thank you, sir. I thank you a lot for quitting your job to run a campaign. It's not easy to run a campaign in Virginia, especially
no kidding.
when your opponent is so well funded. She is, I can say, is a 9-1. 9-1. Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yes,
it's terrible. These Democrats think they're going to buy all 3 seats. They think with outside money, they'll be able to buy the governor's mansion. They think they'll buy the attorney general's office, and they think they'll buy the lieutenant governor's office. That's why I have not taken a day off from this campaign since January 27th, the day I announced I was running. I've worked every single day. I've put thousands and thousands of miles on the car going to visit with people. I'm doing as many media interviews as I possibly can so that the people of Virginia, when it comes time to vote, which is coming up fast, September 19th begins early voting and the election day is November 4th, they will know exactly what I stand for. I hope they'll feel confident that I'm a fair person and that I'm a reasonable person, and they'll feel good about casting a vote for me on election day.
Thank you, sir. And as we said, money is not everything. Democrats thought that they could buy the election. I mean, by spending money on the candidates and then spending ads. But you are doing good in the polls, even in the worst case scenario polls, that you're still leading the ticket. How could you do it?
Well, I've just been so fortunate that I've had the energy and the health and the spirit to work so hard every day. And I think people have noticed that. You know, people still respect men and women who work hard and show that they're willing to work hard. People who are humble and don't get too obnoxious and pushy about things. You know, I have strong opinions, but I try to listen to other people. I'd like to find a way that we can have a functional government here in Virginia, that we're not constantly in conflict with each other. We're going to disagree on some things, but that doesn't mean that it has to be constant conflict and nastiness. And I'm hoping that people are recognizing that from me, and that they'll make that choice to give me this opportunity to work on their behalf.
Thank you a lot. And Mr. Reed, how can people can support your campaign, and where can they find you, and to give you more donations and spread the information and the messages to everyone?
Well, I would sure appreciate it, and I thank you for asking that. You know, we've got September and October, and then Election Day will be here in November. So even if someone could commit $25 for the next 2 months, cumulatively, that would add to my base, would allow me maybe to do television ads. I mean, I'm really worried about what the Democrats are going to do, what lies they'll tell, and what they may do to try to harm our campaign. So that money would help me fight back. You can find the website. It's johnreidforvirginia.com. REID, as you see there, is my last name. JOHNREID, all spelled out. johnreidforvirginia.com. And then if you want to see where I've been going and who I've been talking to, you can go on Facebook, John Reid for Lieutenant Governor. I'm on Instagram, John Reid for VA. Just about all the social networks, I'm on there, trying to demonstrate that I'm willing to meet with people, even people who don't look like me, even people who aren't Republicans. I want to meet you. I hope that we'll find, you know, a vision for Virginia that you'll be excited about, and that you'll pick me as Lieutenant Governor this year.
Thank you a lot, and I hope that there will be more events, and there are more chances that we, the minority communities, the Vietnamese, and other communities can meet you on campaign trail. And you know, we are with the Republican Party, we are with the MAGA movement, so we love to see people like you standing up, political outsiders. You are really an outsider. You have the knowledge, but you are an outsider. You haven't held any political
I haven't been
positions.
in the House of Delegates or the Senate, and some people are really mad at me about that. But see, that shows that I'm doing the right thing, because once you get into the system, sometimes you get sucked into doing things you don't want to do. I am really independent, and no, I don't owe anything to anybody at that Capitol. Just look at how much money people haven't given me. If I get there, you'll have someone who is independent at the Capitol, doing conservative things, believing in conservative principles, but I don't owe anybody anything. And you know what, I'll tell you, in my travels around the world, I did go to Vietnam, modern Vietnam, and I saw the effort to try to present a certain image about the war and about who the good guys were and the bad guys were. I'm not interested in refighting a war, but I do know the dangers of communism, and I do know the dangers of tyrannical government taking money from the people, not letting them live their lives as they see fit. We should not ever allow anything like that to even begin to happen in Virginia or in the United States. So many people have escaped communist regimes, oppressive governments, to come to America. And now it's our time and our turn to stand up against those efforts. Not with violence, I hope never with violence, but with reason and thoughtfulness and examples that will bring people to our political party. That's one reason that I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, is to try to put us in a good place again.
Yeah, thank you. And to Virginians, you know, Governor Youngkin got a veto of 400 bills passed by the Democrats in the General Assembly and the Senate. If the Democrat takes over the leadership in this November, Abigail Spanberger, Gisela Hasby, they will approve and sign all of those legislations, and they're gonna make Virginia, California in just 1 second. So this is the
we'll be
risk.
Obligated.
Yes.
You know, the energy policy that they're pushing is terrible. We will probably within the next 10 years have brownouts and blackouts because they don't know what they're doing when it comes to energy policy. They try to tell the energy experts what to do. That's wrong. If you don't want to join a union, and some people do want to join a union, some people do not. In Virginia, you now have the right not to join the union. They can't force you. Well, if the Democrats take over, they have said they're going to force you into a union. They will take money from your paycheck. It will go to the Democrat Party. You can't do anything about it. We must stop that from happening. And then I really can't say it enough. If you have a young daughter who's going through the public schools, or your wife or someone who's female is in your family, and you think they deserve privacy in the bathroom or in the locker room or in the spa, if you think that they deserve to compete only against women and not against delusional men, you have no choice. Republicans will stand up to protect the women in your life, and the Democrats are going to force that situation with men and women in the locker room. I think that's wrong, and I'm going to stand up against it.
Thank you, sir. And Virginians, remember, early voting starts on September 19. And then you have a long period that you have 45 days to vote. So cast your votes as soon as possible when you receive the mail by the state. Don't wait until the election day. You do your part first, and then you ask other people you help, and you help them to do their part. We gotta save Virginia. We gotta keep Virginia red, and you can support my audience. I thank you every day for supporting my channel, but I ask you, please check on JohnReedForVirginia.com and make a donation to Mr. Reed, and then follow his social media for more information. And then Mr. Reed, I thank you for your time,
so nice to
being
have me on your
here.
show.
Yeah, I thank you, and then we're gonna do everything we can to support our MAGA candidates, our Republican candidates, for America to be good and to give back to America where we prosper, where we succeed. It is another thank you to America too. Thank you, sir. And I wish you all the best and to your campaign. And I hope that we're gonna win. We're gonna win in November.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna save Virginia, and I know that your audience will help. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And to my audience, I hope you enjoyed this show. And please, again, get on JohnReedForVirginia.com to help Mr. Reed for his run for Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.